Hi, this is Jen with Iowa Backyard Farmer. It's June 12th, 13th, somewhere in there. And I thought I'd give you a tour of what's going on in the garden. Our plant sale is essentially over. It was kind of a rough year. We lost about roughly half of what we had planted due to the herbicide drift. It was about $30,000 worth of plants that we ended up taking to the dump. We're just finishing that up now. Today we're going to probably bag up what's left and plant in those spots for our garden. But while we were busy with the plant sale, the garden didn't stop, and so I wanted to show you what's going on while we've been doing something else. Let me turn this around. So the berry bushes have continued to grow without much care from us. These are black currants, and they're ready to pick today. And they're probably the most tedious thing that I have that I pick, but they make really good jams and jellies. Underneath them, you can see, maybe you can see, now that the branches are too heavy, there's strawberries down there, but my branches are so heavy with fruit that they're weighing down, so I've got to pick those up. This here is the Prelude raspberries, and we put these in buckets one spring when we didn't have enough time and we had a couple extra starts, and they haven't found a home yet. They're still in buckets. This is their second year, but you can see they're totally happy, and we pick fruit off of these every day. So this is a gummy berry bush, and last year we got a ton of berries off of it, and it was covered with berries this year too. You can see just a few in there. The birds have eaten almost every single one. It's all right. Last year I got them, this year the birds got them. It saves me the trouble of picking them, I guess. And here you see a gigantic tangle of grapes. When we're doing the plant sale, we're not doing our regular chores, and sometimes we get way behind. This year, one of the things that we didn't get done was pruning the grapes, and so you can see they've gone wild. They're growing into the gummy berry bush. They're over the fence and taking over. They have set a lot of fruit, but it probably will be smaller fruit because we didn't prune it, and some of it's on these really thin branches. You really want stems that are thicker than a pencil at the minimum, and so we'll see. Last year the raccoons got every single one, so I haven't figured out what we're gonna do with them this year. And then if you move over here, you can see this is our Bartlett pear tree, and if you can see into all that green, it is totally covered with pears at all levels. Last year we got about 200 pounds off of this tree. It's not sprayed or anything, so some of them are pretty, some of them aren't, and some of them will need a ladder because this tree is now very big. Because our trees are so big, it's an adventure trying to find a sunny spot to plant our sun-loving annuals. And in these buckets here, last year I think we had potatoes. This year we're gonna have peppers. These are a collection of mostly hot peppers. So we've got things like Sugar Rush Peach and Cayenne, a Chili de Arbol, Anaheim Charger. We just planted these last weekend. And so far, so good. These are a lot of my Mexican chilies that I'm hoping to make great enchilada sauce with. And they look like they're doing really well. And one of my favorites of the whole garden, this time of year, is the blueberries. And we've had a struggle to get blueberries here. We've had to amend the soil to make it more acidic. We have to watch out for the birds who also love these. They're not netted, but I will tell you that when I come out in the morning and I water, they're watching me and I'm watching them. And yesterday I called my youngest from my phone from the garden while I was watering because there was a lineup of birds on my roof waiting for me to be done. I was like, quick, get a bowl and come out here, and we got them. We got at least most of them. The birds get a few. So, but there's lots of blueberries in there. Our lavender is in full bloom, and there's little pollinators on it. They're hard to see in the video, but they're happy as can be and thriving in this neglected south spot of our yard. It's come back every year. So when we first started planting our garden, it was all grass. This whole backyard was all grass. And we've gradually added things until it's kind of like a forest, really. But it's not, it's not all happy. This is an elderberry, and it's in full bloom, and it smells fantastic and looks wonderful. The birds usually get all of these too, but we try. We'll see what we can do. Here you see this is a hazelburt. It's a hazelnut filbert cross, and it was little tiny, but it is taking over the world now, and hopefully some year soon we will get nuts off of that. And then you'll see down here, oh, thistles. They're growing up in my daylilies. We've tried to get a whole bunch out. We'll have to do some more. And the elderberries are spreading beyond their boundaries. And then hiding underneath are champagne currants, also ready to pick or almost ready to pick. I was teasing Steven this morning that I felt like I had to crawl through my backyard to find anything, and this is true. Some of these trees we pruned to be short, but it would be nice to be able to walk through. So we're gonna scramble through here, look for poison ivy, and take down some more of those elderberries that are out of control. And here's a red currant. This one's also all ready to pick. You just have to crawl into the forest to get to it. So maybe one of the kids I can get to come pick that today, because that's ready to go. Standing up from there, we're under the tree. What kind of tree is it? This one is an Asian pear. And so this one has lots of Asian pears on it. Looks like we lost a couple branches in the high winds, but there's a lot of fruit on this tree. And a lot of thistles behind it. We'll have to get those. But look at those elderberries. They're totally beautiful. And right in the center of that, growing up, used to be on the edge of the elderberries, that's a red pear tree. So generally we try and keep the elderberries on that side of the pear tree, so we'll have some significant editing to do to get this elderberry back on the other side. In the meantime, sure is pretty. One of our favorite adventures, we haven't had fruit on it yet, but it did bloom this year, is our pawpaw trees. And Steven had got these as a seed, or like he just got one pawpaw and planted the seeds. Took months to germinate, and they were slow growers. You can see they've been in these little cases, but they are huge now, and hopefully we'll get fruit on them soon. They're very pretty. This is another escapee. This is oregano that has wandered out of my garden and into the naturalized part of the backyard. The pollinators love this, but it's in the mint family and it goes where it wants. Surfacing from the orchard wild side of the garden is our main garden box areas. These are the garden beds. These two garden beds will be covered by one 10 by 10 greenhouse. When it comes down, we plant stuff in it. This year, these are all my sauce tomatoes. We lost so many tomatoes with the herbicide drift that actually this year we ended up, in addition to the ones we've got planted, having to find a couple extra from the store, which has been a first for us in a long time. But these look happy. Along the back fence, we have these little tiny pink grapes. I cannot remember what the name of them is at this time, but they are fantastic. They're so delicious, and they look happy now. The raccoons always eat these ones first, but I'm hoping that maybe we can get a few off of it this year. When you grow a delicious garden, sometimes it takes some creativity to actually get to the harvest. But there's a whole row of grapes here too. This is a high bush cranberry near the back fence. We grew these because regular cranberries are a little bit of a challenge for us, and somebody said this would taste good, and if not, the birds would eat it. And I have not yet tasted one that tastes delicious, and the birds kind of leave them on too. So we will see, but it's beautiful. It blooms really pretty. It's taking up this lovely spot in the back. Okay, this part of our garden is a tribute to don't plant invasive things because they're happy. So this is our fire pit here, and it's not cleaned up. But we thought we'll plant some kind of native things over here, and I think this is a New England aster and stuff. And then we're like, well, we'll just plant a few things. We've got a lot of space. Look at this sea of lemon balm that is taller than my lights. It's absolutely going everywhere. We planted cup plant years ago because that was a native plant, and it's happy here. But it is hard to get rid of. And someone gave me some Jerusalem artichokes. You'll see them over there, also slightly invasive. So there's a lot of work to do to reclaim this area. If you look in there careful at the very far end, there's my rhubarb, which I can't access without wading through a sea of lemon balm, which smells delicious, and it's not prickly, but it's not my favorite part. And here, stuck in the middle, is another currant bush with currants ready to go. So maybe we'll grab the machete and work our way through this part. There used to be earlier this spring a path through there. It goes around the fire pit. It'll take a little bit of work to find it again. And here we are in the original garden box area. You can see these are still in semi-greenhouse mode. They're covered. We've still got a few plants in here from our plant sale. A lot of these will be going into our garden later today, hopefully. I've got some test tomatoes here, still yet to plant, still looking for some garden space. I grew a whole bunch of peppers, trialing paprika peppers this year, and doing another trial of our green bell peppers to see which ones work best for us. Okay, here's a fun one maybe you haven't seen. This is a hardy kiwi vine, and it is fruiting. And these are the hardy kiwis. You can see they're not very big, they're not quite ripe. They don't grow the fuzz on them that a traditional kiwi you see in the grocery store has, but they're kind of fun. They've got all these little fruits on them. You have to have a male and female kiwi vine. So this one is the male, and it doesn't have any fruit on it, but it has this cool variegated leaf. And we've got another one down here. We've got several different varieties, but you can see it has taken off, and it is now growing off into my spruce tree. So lots of pruning to be done there too. And the theme of this tour is my garden is being taken over and it's out of control. But this is raspberries. We had moved these raspberries to up the hill, but they like it here, so they came back. So I have a collection of random raspberries and some poison ivy growing in here under the tree, and they're totally happy under the kiwi vines under the tree. Here's part of what we're trying to take back. Yesterday I pulled all our shell peas, and we'll plant something else in here today. A couple more weeks and it will look fantastic. Right now it looks like a hot mess. Literally, it's gonna be 100 degrees today. So you may have seen these two. This is a different kind of elderberry, and this one also is really happy. It was kind of accidental. Stephen ordered a bunch of cuttings one year for different elderberries, and we had them in grow bags, and this one escaped and is now growing wild all over my compost bin, which you can sort of see way back there. It's well shaded. We still managed to fill it up a little bit, but this elderberry will need significant pruning too, but it's really happy considering it's growing right under a huge maple tree. So we put these temporary tables into the greenhouses so we can have room for the plants to be up off the ground. And when we take them down, we stack those pallets and cinder blocks, and then that becomes a place to plant. This garden bed had a mind of its own, and went wild with strawberries, and so the tables were a little bit taller and the strawberries are like, that's amazing. And so now this whole entire bed is filled with strawberries. We'll have to, they're June bearing, so we'll cut them back. They're almost done. Cut them back, thin them out, and still be able to plant in here. And they'll come back again next year. Between harvesting, watering, planting, we're not getting a whole lot of anything else done. You can see these are garlic right here all the way down, and they're doing fantastic. They're needing to have the scapes removed so that they can focus on their bulbs. You can eat these. I've dried these before and they're fantastic. We've got to get someone out here to prune off all the scapes. So my experience with growing herbs is that you are picturing an herb garden, and it's this nice small contained little thing, and you snip off what you want and come back later and it grows back, and that's really nice. Some of my herbs, like the oregano we saw earlier, are more industrious than that. This would be a French tarragon, and it's an absolute shrub. We've tried to cut this one down too, but like a lot of the herbs, it has a propensity to grow well, and so we have a lot of tarragon, but it's pretty. Here's another happy accident. You're gonna think I don't plant anything, but we planted these double gold raspberries down this side of the hill, and when we did, we accidentally transplanted some Asian lilies with it, and they've been in full bloom this week, looking absolutely gorgeous. They don't hurt the raspberries at all, but it's kind of a funny combination. But these are ready to pick, and then when these are done blooming, they'll come down, and our second wave of raspberries will come up, the new growth. And I don't know, it's kind of a fun spot. And double gold raspberries are pretty delicious. So in the nature having its own pecking order thing, the robins love these honeyberries. They think they're fantastic, and I had years of no honeyberries because the baby robins basically camp out in here and eat all the berries. But then a wild cat adopted us, and this is her favorite napping spot. And so now I get more honeyberries than I know what to do with. But you can see they need to be picked too. So this is where I sign off. We've got buckets and bowls and a whole long day ahead of us. Hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for all your support. We'll talk to you later. Bye.